is reaching a tipping point.
Something like 22% of all the shipping that sailed from the 1st of March to the 21st of March fails to make it to the other side.
What has just been uncovered is about to blow your mind. Deep under the icy waters off Norway, this submarine has been hidden for almost 60 years. What appeared through the darkness stunned researchers.
Today, a broken wreck could hold vital clues to the denouement of this battle of wits.
There is the tragic part of this. You know that inside this metal coffin, there are a significant number of people.
Something hidden inside that shadowy hull defied all expectations. Row after row of sealed containers hinted at secrets too dangerous to fully understand. The deeper the drone went, the more unsettling the mystery became. What could have been kept hidden for so long? Today, that drone just cracked open one of the most shocking secrets of World War II, and what it found will leave you speechless. The doomed voyage of Operation Caesar. The North Sea looks calm. Waves roll gently under a pale winter sky, almost like nothing dangerous could be lurking below. But beneath that peaceful surface lies one of the most shocking secrets of World War II. U-864, a massive submarine. By late 1944, Nazi Germany was crumbling. The Allies were closing in from the west, the Soviets from the east, and Germany was running out of everything: fuel, weapons, and hope. In this desperate moment, the German High Command came up with a plan that sounds like a movie script. They would send their most advanced technology to Japan, their struggling ally, in exchange for raw materials like rubber and tin. This mission was called Operation Caesar, and U-864 was chosen to carry it out. U-864 wasn't just any submarine. She was a Type 9 D2 long-range U-boat, 287 feet long, almost 1,800 tons submerged. Commissioned in late 1943, she had been specially modified to carry cargo deep in her hull. She wasn't just a warship, she was a floating vault, carrying secrets that could change the course of the war. Commanding this colossal vessel was Korvettenkaptein Ralph Reimar Wolfram, a skilled officer who had seen the North Sea's dangers many times before. On board were 73 people, officers, sailors, and special passengers. 2 Messerschmitt engineers, Rolf von Klingensberg and Riklef Schomerus, were experts who could help Japan build the revolutionary Mi-262 jet fighter. Also aboard were Japanese specialists, Tadao Yamamoto, a torpedo expert, and Toshio Nakai, a fuel engineer. Every person had a critical job, and every life depended on the mission's success. But the real shock wasn't the crew, it was the cargo. Deep in U-864 keel lay 1,857 steel flasks, each about 32 kilograms, filled with 67 tons of liquid metallic mercury. Mercury sounds harmless, even shiny, but it's one of the deadliest substances if handled incorrectly. The Germans were sending it to Japan to make explosive detonators. That alone could have caused unimaginable destruction if it fell into the wrong hands. And that wasn't all. The submarine also carried parts for the Jumo 004 turbojet engine, used in the world's first operational jet fighter, the Messerschmitt Mi-262. Crates of guidance systems for V-2 missiles, optical gun sights, infrared fuses, torpedo blueprints, and stacks of engineering drawings were also aboard. Every inch of the submarine carried tools that could extend the war, change battles, and save lives, or take them. On February 5, 1945, after repairs delayed her departure, U-864 finally slipped away from Bergen, Norway. Darkness was her cover, but the icy North Sea was filled with danger. Allied ships and planes patrolled the waters, ready to strike. Every mile was a test of skill, courage, and luck. Above the waves, the world seemed calm. Below, a corroded steel tomb carried secrets that were heavier than the ocean itself. The voyage north toward Fedje Island was tense from the start. Crews checked cargo, plotted courses, and tried to stay invisible. Each sonar ping from enemy ships, each distant explosion made the air inside the submarine feel electric. The peaceful winter sky above could not have been more different from the nightmare that waited inside U-864. Historians still ask the chilling questions. What if U-864 had reached Japan? Could advanced German jet technology have helped Japan hold off the Americans? Could missiles, fuses, and secrets from this rusting submarine have rewritten history? The answers remain unknown, but the thought alone sends shivers down the spine. Even the crew must have felt the weight of history on their shoulders. Every turn of the propeller, every hum of the engines, carried not just a vessel, but an empire's desperation. They were part of a story that would remain hidden for decades, sealed under tons of steel and ice-cold water. But fate had other plans. A clever British submarine commander intercepted U-864. The mission that was meant to tip the balance of war ended in disaster. The North Sea claimed the submarine, her deadly cargo, and the hopes of the German High Command. Now, decades later, U-864 lies at the bottom of the sea, a rusting, corroded tomb. And yet, even in decay, she is far from quiet. Beneath layers of rust and shadow, the flasks of mercury, the jet parts, and the missile guidance systems still whisper of danger. The peaceful ocean above is a stark contrast to the toxic nightmare below. Every dive, every discovery, reveals just how close the world once came to another kind of disaster. U-864 is a story of desperation, secrecy, and the terrifying power humans can create. The calm surface of the North Sea hides a shocking truth. Sometimes history isn't just written in books. Sometimes it waits silently beneath the waves, in a steel coffin, until someone dares to uncover it. And when they do, the story is almost too shocking to believe. The historic submarine duel that changed naval warfare forever. The cold North Sea was hiding a deadly secret. Beneath the rolling waves, two submarines stalked each other in complete silence, unseen, unheard, until one would vanish forever. On February 9th, 1945, a silent battle was about to unfold that had never happened before and has never happened since. U-864, carrying a cargo so dangerous it could have changed the war, crept through the dark waters. Above her, the icy ocean seemed calm. But below, a nightmare of steel, strategy, and fear was waiting. Shadowing her every move was HMS Venturer, a smaller British V-class submarine, fast, deadly, and commanded by just 25-year-old Lieutenant Jimmy Launders. This was his 11th patrol, but nothing he had faced compared to the tension gripping the North Sea that day. For hours, the two submarines played a deadly game of hide-and-seek. Both were submerged, relying on snorkels for air while running diesel engines. Every sound mattered. Every mistake could be the last. Venturer's hydrophones, sensitive enough to hear the faintest noise, picked up the whine of U-864 engines. Launders knew that detecting her was only the beginning. Catching her was the impossible part. Then U-864 sensed she was being hunted and crash-dived. Her snorkel retracted, electric motors hummed softly, and she disappeared into the chilling darkness. For the first time in history, two submarines would engage fully underwater. No periscope, no surface sightings, just sound, careful calculations, and nerves of steel. Launders faced a challenge almost nobody could manage. Traditional torpedo attacks relied on sight or simple calculations, but here he had only faint echoes, estimated distances, and guesses about depth from the enemy's snorkel mast. He had to calculate a three-dimensional firing solution manually, predicting time, range, bearing, speed, and evasive moves. Experts later said it was nearly impossible under battle stress, but Launders refused to fail. The crew worked frantically, predicting how U-864 might twist and turn to escape. At 12, he gave the order. 4 torpedo tubes were armed, ready for a spread attack. The torpedoes would fire at 17.5-second intervals at slightly different depths: 30, 32, 34, and 36 feet. One of them had to hit no matter what. The first torpedo streaked silently through the freezing water. U-864 twisted, narrowly dodging it. The second followed, then the third, again avoided. The tension in Venturer's control room was unbearable. Every second felt like an eternity. Every heartbeat could have been the last. Then came the fourth. It raced through the black water with terrifying speed. U-864, unaware of her fate, turned directly into its path. A massive explosion ripped through the North Sea. Steel twisted, rivets popped, and the sound of breaking metal traveled through the water, reaching Venturer's hydrophones. In that instant, 73 lives were gone. No mayday, no survivors, no bodies recovered, just silence. Above the waves, the North Sea returned to its deceptive calm. The young sun glimmered off the surface as if nothing had happened. Below, a corroded steel tomb held the wreckage of U-864, along with its jaw-dropping cargo: tons of mercury, jet fighter parts, missile guidance systems, and blueprints. Secrets that could have changed the war. A single torpedo had ended the mission, but the hidden danger beneath the waves would remain locked away for decades. This was not just a military victory. It was a triumph of human ingenuity, nerve, and mathematics under unimaginable pressure. Launders had done what no one thought possible, calculating and firing a perfect solution in total darkness. But the true cost of U-864's destruction, the potential disaster carried within its hull, would only be revealed decades later, when the wreck was scanned. Can you imagine the tension in that freezing submarine? The claustrophobic silence, the deafening fear, the knowledge that one wrong move meant instant death. Every twist of U-864, every turn of the propeller, every pop of a rivet under pressure could have been the crew's last. And yet, beneath the surface, history was being made. The only confirmed case of one submarine sinking another while both were fully submerged. The ocean hides its dead well. Above, the waves seem peaceful, almost serene. Below, a chilling darkness swallows steel and secrets alike. The story of U-864 and Venturer is not just about war. It's about bravery, genius, desperation, and a terrifying glimpse at the silent horror lurking beneath the sea. And the real shock? What lay in that wreck would remain a hidden danger for decades. When a drone finally explored the corroded hull years later, the discovery would be more horrifying than anyone could have guessed. Row after row of metal flasks, mysterious cargo, and the potential for disaster, all trapped in the chilling darkness of the North Sea. The question still haunts: how could a single attack, a single moment of human calculation, alter the course of history? And what secrets remained locked in that silent, deadly grave beneath the waves, waiting to be revealed? The 2003 discovery. For nearly 60 years, the ocean held its secret. The violent sinking of U-864 on that February day in 1945 left her broken, silent, and forgotten. A corroded steel tomb resting in the chilling darkness of the North Sea. Above the water, life went on. Gentle waves glinted under the sun. Fishermen cast nets without a thought. Yet sometimes, those nets would snag on strange, unseen objects. But no one knew what lay beneath, hidden by hundreds of feet of cold, murky water. It wasn't until March 2003 that modern technology finally pierced the ocean's long silence. The Norwegian Navy was conducting a routine sonar survey about 2 nautical miles west of Fiji Island when the screen flickered with a shocking image: a massive wreck split in two, lying in the deep at roughly 150 meters, nearly 500 feet below the surface. Scattered around the bow and stern were over 100 debris pieces, likely ripped from the submarine's midsection in the terrible explosion decades before. Even broken and silted over, the sight was staggering. The bow and stern were surprisingly intact, like twin corroded sentinels guarding a forgotten apocalypse. But among the wreckage, danger lurked. Live torpedoes might still be on board, silent but deadly, waiting for the slightest disturbance to awaken their explosive fury. This was no longer just history. It was a ticking time bomb under the sea. Curiosity turned to horror as researchers dug deeper. Declassified German records and cargo manifests revealed the full scale of the submarine's secret mission. Nearly 67 tons of liquid mercury, packed into 1,857 steel flasks, hidden deep in the keel. Mercury, heavy and poisonous, does not vanish. It seeps into everything it touches, poisoning fish, seabed sediments, and potentially humans. To see the wreck in real life was one thing. To imagine the silent, corrosive hazard it carried was another entirely. In 2005, a remotely operated vehicle, a high-tech underwater drone, descended into the darkness, slipping through the broken hull of U-864. And there it was, a single steel flask, still intact, confirming the deadly cargo. One small canister was all it took to prove the apocalypse lurking beneath the waves. The toxic potential of that submarine was undeniable. This wasn't just a historical discovery. It was a modern environmental threat that could ripple through the ocean for decades. The surrounding seabed told a grim story. Tests showed mercury levels thousands of times above safe limits, contaminating sediments and fish alike. The Norwegian government acted fast, declaring a no-fishing zone to protect local communities. Yet, even with immediate measures, the corrosion of the submarine and its cargo posed an ongoing nightmare. Each year, as salt water slowly eats away at steel, new leaks could form. The wreck had become a silent poisoner, a relic of war turning into a modern hazard. For the fishermen near Fiji, the discovery transformed from curiosity to crisis. What once might have seemed like a simple snag in a net now carried the potential for neurological damage, birth defects, and environmental collapse. Environmental groups demanded action. Scientists debated solutions. The risk of raising the wreck to remove the mercury was enormous. The operation could trigger explosions or release more mercury than ever. Leaving it in place also carried its dangers. The ocean, calm on the surface, but was anything but safe below. And then there is the human cost. The 73 men who died aboard U-864, Germans and Japanese specialists, remained trapped in their steel coffin. Their resting place, once hidden and mourned in silence, had become a ticking environmental bomb. Every dive, every inspection, every sonar ping risks disturbing them further, a haunting reminder that war's echoes can last generations. As researchers explore further, more chilling questions emerge. How many flasks are leaking now? How much mercury still sleeps in the bow or stern, ready to poison the surrounding sea? And what happens if a major storm or human activity disturbs the wreck? Each question adds weight to the mystery, each answer more terrifying than the last. For nearly 60 years, U-864's deadly secret remained hidden, deep beneath the North Sea, silent and still. Then, in 2003, technology tore the veil away. What was once a corroded, forgotten tomb became a stark reminder of war's lingering threats, a chilling mix of human tragedy, jaw-dropping cargo, and apocalyptic potential. The peaceful ocean surface hides horrors below, a reminder that even decades later, the consequences of one desperate mission can echo across time and space, silent but deadly. The story of U-864 is far from over. The ocean may have revealed the wreck, but its secrets, the toxic mercury, the advanced weapons, the untold dangers, still lurk in the dark. And as long as it sits in the North Sea, history and hazard are intertwined, waiting for the next ripple, the next discovery. The shocking cargo. The drone. Cameras finally revealed. The first images from the drones were almost too much to believe. For nearly 60 years, U-864 had slept silently on the seabed, hidden beneath layers of North Sea darkness. But when the remotely operated vehicles descended with their piercing 4K cameras and blinding LED lights, the corroded steel tomb revealed its chilling secrets. What had been a ghost story became a jaw-dropping reality. As the powerful beams swept across the broken bulkheads, the interior came into view. Rusted steel glowed under the lights, silt and marine growth coating every surface like a thin, gray blanket. Broken hull sections offered glimpses inside, and what the cameras captured made researchers freeze. Row after row of steel flasks, thousands of them, still rested in the submarine's keel. Many were intact, standing upright as if waiting for someone to open them. Others were cracked or breached, mercury seeping slowly into the sediment, leaving dark, eerie stains that hinted at the deadly load the submarine had carried. But the mercury wasn't the only secret frozen in time. Crates and containers lay wedged in debris, some toppled, some half buried in silt. Inside were components of Messerschmitt Jumo 004 jet engines, parts for V-2 missiles, optical gun sights, infrared fuses, and stacks of technical drawings carefully sealed in waterproof containers. Every object told a story of desperation, a Nazi Germany trying to swap its most advanced weapons technology for raw materials from Japan. The submarine wasn't just a transport, it was a floating arsenal, a time capsule of apocalyptic potential. Every frame of footage was a shock. Personal effects of the crew occasionally appeared, half buried in mud. A shoe, a helmet, fragments of paper. These small reminders of human life added a heartbreaking layer to the story. 73 men had perished in the icy depths decades before, and now their final resting place was not just a tomb, but a ticking environmental hazard. The eerie silence of the North Sea graveyard pressed against the drone's sensors, amplifying every shadow and silt cloud, making the wreck feel almost alive. The drones didn't just record images, they measured, scanned, and built detailed 3D models using photogrammetry. By stitching thousands of images together, researchers could explore the interior virtually, moving through corridors and cargo holds without touching the wreck. The scale of the cargo was staggering. The mercury alone weighed more than 60 metric tons, and the volume of advanced technology made it clear that this mission, if successful, could have dramatically changed the course of the war. Yet the images also carried a warning. Some flasks were already leaking, corroded by decades of salt water. Mercury, heavy and toxic, doesn't just sit in one place. It seeps into sediments, contaminates fish, and enters the food chain. Every leak was a potential disaster, a ghostly reminder that the ocean can preserve history, but also hide immense danger. Scientists and environmental agencies watched the footage with a mix of awe and dread. Here lay a relic of war, yes, but also a modern threat to the ecosystem. The contrast was surreal. On the surface, the North Sea looks calm, even serene. Waves lap against the shore, gulls wheel overhead, and fishermen haul in their nets. Below, the wreck lies in darkness, a corroded steel tomb filled with a lethal mix of toxic metals and advanced weapons. The calm above belies the hidden apocalypse beneath, a deadly secret that only technology could now reveal. The public reaction was immediate. Documentaries, history channels, and news outlets broadcast the drone footage around the world. Viewers gasped at the ghostly images of the submarine lying like a frozen nightmare on the seabed. Rows of flasks glinting in the drone's light, the twisted steel of bulkheads, crates of jet engine parts. It looked like a scene from a sci-fi or horror film, yet it was real. People couldn't stop asking, how much mercury is still leaking? What would happen if a storm or human activity disturbed the wreck? How long before this ticking time bomb underwater caused serious impact? For researchers, the drone footage was both a triumph and a nightmare. Never before had the interior of U-864 been seen so clearly. The images confirmed the scale and scope of Operation Caesar's secret cargo, revealing not just the technological ambition of Nazi Germany, but also the ongoing danger it posed. It was a chilling reminder that history doesn't always stay in the past. It can linger, corroding silently, threatening life decades later. And yet, for all the horror, the wreck also offers an unprecedented opportunity. By studying the 3D scans and high-resolution footage, scientists can plan containment strategies without disturbing the site too much. They can track the corrosion of flasks, monitor mercury leakage, and learn how the ocean preserves and destroys human artifacts over decades. Every beam of light from the drones brings the past into focus, showing us both the brilliance and the recklessness of a war long ended. The drone's lights cut through the chilling darkness, revealing the corroded steel tomb in all its horrifying detail. Every flask, every crate, every shadow told a story of desperate men, deadly cargo, and a war that reached even the hidden depths of the North Sea. And as viewers watch the footage, they are drawn into the eerie silence, feeling the weight of the submarine's secret and the apocalyptic threat that still lingers beneath the waves. The wreck is getting deadlier. New scans from 2004 and 2025 show that U-864 is changing, and not in a small way. Corrosion is eating through the steel faster than anyone expected. Ocean acidification, stronger currents, and rising water temperatures are all speeding it up. What was once a time capsule from the war is turning into a real, active threat under the waves. Mercury, that dangerous liquid metal the submarine carried, is leaking. It's spreading across more than 30,000 square meters of seabed, an area bigger than 4 soccer fields. Even though the leaks are small, just a few pounds per year, they create hotspots that are extremely toxic. Scientists have measured elevated mercury in the fish around the wreck, which means it's starting to work its way up the food chain. Local fisheries are on high alert, and researchers are racing to understand the full impact. The Norwegian authorities had to change their plans. Raising the wreck completely was far too risky. There could still be live torpedoes inside, and disturbing them might release even more mercury into the sea. So the plan now is careful and high-tech. In 2026, specialized ROVs will retrieve as many mercury flasks as they can. These underwater robots have arms, sensors, and cameras that let scientists handle the toxic cargo without putting anyone in danger. It's slow work, but every step matters. One mistake could make things a lot worse. After the accessible mercury is removed, the wreck and the surrounding seabed, about 500 feet across, will be sealed under a massive sarcophagus. Layers of sand, gravel, concrete, and rock, stacked up to 40 feet thick, will cover the area. The engineering team has installed probes to stabilize the seabed under the bow so that nothing slides and spreads the contamination further. The whole operation is inspired by Chernobyl's containment methods. But this is under the ocean, in freezing cold water. with strong currents constantly trying to move things around. The cost is huge. Estimates reached around $32 million. But it's worth it. This isn't just about preserving history anymore. It's about keeping the marine environment safe, protecting the fisheries, and stopping a decades-old weapon from causing damage today. The submarine, built to deliver destruction, now demands decades of careful human effort just to prevent damage. There's another layer to all this. The 73 young men who died aboard U-864 in 1945 are still inside. Their resting place has turned into a hazardous site. Every step the team takes is a balance between safety and respect for the past. The wreck is no longer just history. It's a living problem that humanity has to actively manage. The latest scans show the corrosion is accelerating, and mercury is seeping into the sediment faster than anyone predicted. Stronger currents move the toxic particles around, and the seabed itself is becoming unstable. Every new piece of data is a warning. Scientists monitor the site constantly, checking sediment toxicity, water contamination, and the wreck's structural stability. One slip-up could release a dangerous plume of mercury into the ocean, affecting marine life and people along the coast. This story isn't just about war or history. It's about responsibility. The submarine sent to deliver weapons in 1945 is now demanding protection in 2026. The young men who died left a legacy that stretches far beyond the battlefield. What was once a silent grave is now a high-tech environmental project, one that will continue for years. U-864 has gone from a secret weapon of destruction to a modern lesson in how the past never really stays buried. The wreck reminds us that history can be dangerous, that the consequences of human actions can last decades, and that sometimes the only way to protect the present is to carefully manage the ghosts of the past. Even after more than 80 years, U-864 still reaches out from the depths, reminding us that war doesn't end when the guns fall silent. Think about it. If this submarine had made it to Japan, the secret German jet technology on board could have extended the Pacific conflict, causing untold deaths. One small steel vessel might have changed the course of history. Instead, it sank, saving countless lives, but at a terrible cost to the ocean itself. Now, the legacy isn't measured in headlines or battles won. It's measured in poisoned seabeds, leaking mercury, and the delicate marine life struggling above a corroding steel tomb. U-864 proves that some consequences of war don't fade with time. They linger, silent but deadly. What was once a weapon of destruction has become a warning. The oceans can hold the past like a ticking time bomb. But there's hope in the lessons it teaches. International teams of scientists, engineers, and environmental experts are working together to contain the toxic cargo, stabilize the wreck, and protect the surrounding ecosystem. The story of U-864 is now a story of responsibility, showing how humanity can confront dangerous legacies from the past. This wreck, lying quietly beneath the waves, is more than a historical artifact. It's a reminder that some secrets refuse to stay buried. They demand attention, planning, and action, even decades later. And as long as U-864 rests on the North Sea floor, it will continue to haunt us, challenging future generations to balance respect for history with the urgent need to protect the living world above. What was uncovered inside U-864 changes how we see history forever. A sunken mission, a deadly secret, and a warning still unfolding beneath the ocean. If this shocked you, don't stop here. Like the video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep stories that uncover what the world tried to forget.